Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gabby, and today I have a very exciting video where I'm going to be letting you know about the upcoming BookTube book club picks for the next couple of months. So if you didn't know, if you are unaware, I have a book club on my channel called The BookTube, where we read some, thriller or horror kind of books together once a month. I do have an Instagram for The BookTube, which I will have linked down below. I also do have a Discord now for The BookTube that is public, so anybody can join. It's linked down below if you'd like to join. And basically it's just a place where we can all chat about the book that we're currently reading or books that we have read for The BookTube, different things like that. And so yeah, just to catch you up to speed, if you didn't know, for the month of April, we are reading 9 Lives by Peter Swanson, which is a book that I'm very excited about because I'm a pretty big fan of Peter Swanson. And I have 3 of my lovely friends joining me for the month of April, which is my friend Katie Colson, my friend Mike, and my friend Marcy. I will have all of their channels linked down below so you can go and check it out, but I'm very excited for this group and for this live show and for this book. I just think it's going to be so much fun. As of right now, I'm planning the live show to be probably like early May, like probably for the first week of May, sometime in there is when it's probably going to be happening, just because Spring Flingoween is in those last few days of April, so I don't want to put too much pressure on it being at the end of April, but it's going to be happening the 1st of May. And in this video, I'm going to be letting you know about the BookTube book club picks for the months of May, June, and July, as well as the co-hosts that are going to be joining me for those months. So to kick things off, for the month of May, I had quite a few different options for the month of May, and if you didn't know, now if you're a member of my Patreon on the New Romantics tier or higher, you can vote on which books are going to be the BookTube book club selections each month. So usually how I do it is I'll post a poll that has like 3 to 4 books, and then my Patreon members can vote on which one they want for that month. So for the month of May, I had these 4 options here. We had The Picture of Dorian Gray, we had The Haunting of Ashburn House, we had The Ghost Tree, or Shiver for the selections this month. I decided for May that I wanted to do more of like a backlist title for May, just because I had been getting requested to do a mix of, backlist and new release titles. These 4 books were actually also selected out of a greater list. Like I had a list of like 8 books, and then after I narrowed it down to these 4 because these 4 got the most votes for my Patreon, and then we all voted on these 4, and the one that ended up winning is The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. This one actually ended up winning by a lot on my Patreon, and so I'm very excited for this to be the May BookTube selection, because I feel like we haven't really had too much horror yet for the BookTube. I feel like we've been reading a lot of thrillers, which is fantastic, but I feel like this is going to be the true first horror pick. And yeah, I'm very excited too, because this is going to be my first Darcy Coates. I've heard a lot about this author, but I have not yet read anything by Darcy Coates, and so I'm very curious to, check this one out, see how it goes. The blurb on the back here just says there's something wrong with Ashburn House. Everyone knows about Ashburn House. They whisper that its old owner went mad and restless ghosts still walk the halls, but when Adrian, desperate and in need of a place to stay, inherits the crumbling old mansion, she only sees it as a lifeline until darkness falls. Strange messages are etched into the walls, furniture moves when she leaves the room, and a grave hidden in the depths of the forest hints at a terrible, unforgivable secret. Something twisted lives in her house, its hungry eyes ever watchful, chasing the threads of a decades-old mystery. It isn't long before she realizes she's become prey to something deeply unnatural and intensely resentful. She has no idea how to escape. She has no idea how to survive. Only one thing is certain: Ashburn's dead are not at rest. What? This sounds like an amazing haunted house, fun kind of story. And if you are curious, it looks like this book was originally published in 2016, and then it was republished in 2019 with a new cover. But yeah, oh my gosh, I'm excited. It sounds interesting. I feel like this will be something different for the BookTube, to have something more like horror like this and to have something like with haunted house vibes. And if you're wondering who's gonna be co-hosting with me in the month of May when we read this book, I actually have 2 friends joining me for the month of May. It's going to be my friend Ashley from Ashley's Little Library and my friend Hannah from Hannah's Recent Reads. And I'm so excited to have both of them on because I feel like I've been friends with them and kind of like watching their videos for quite some time now, and I know both of them are really close friends as well, so I thought it would be fun to have them both on together and we could just have a little group chat. I'm just so excited to have them on as well, because this is all going to be our first Darcy Coates experience together, because when I asked them, neither of them had read anything by Darcy Coates either. So yeah, I'm just really excited to have them both on the channel. I've been wanting to collaborate with them in some way for a while now, so I'm so glad that they're going to be joining me in the month of May. And then in the month of June, I had another 4 books books for my Patreon members to pick from, and this one was so freaking hard in my opinion because all of these books are some of my most anticipated of the year. So the 4 books that my Patreon members had to vote on for the month of June were The Children on the Hill by my queen Jennifer McMahon, and then we had Hidden Pictures, which is this book that sounds so interesting, The Hacienda, which is another one that sounds really interesting, and Black Tide is another one that sounds so interesting, and I'm just like, I was so excited for any of these to get picked. I'm so hyped because the one that my Patreon ended up voting that won by like 60% is The Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon. It's finally happening, you know. I'm so excited because last year I remember I had The Drowning Kind as like a potential option, and then it got outvoted by one of the other books. So I'm so stoked that we finally have a Jennifer McMahon as one of the BookTube book club picks. I'm very excited to be reading this one in June. If you aren't aware, this book does publish April 26th, so it actually is publishing this month, so you can get your hands on it soon. And this is one that I am so unbelievably excited for because, I mean, you guys already know Jennifer McMahon is like my freaking queen. She's like the queen of horror, and I love that we're gonna have like 2 horror books back to back for the BookTube. I just think it's gonna be so great. I didn't even realize that both of these kind of have houses on the cover and that they look kind of similar in that way. Like, how weird. On the back here, the thing that intrigues me the most about this is it says it's a genre-defying new novel inspired by Mary Shelley's Frankenstein that brilliantly explores the eerie mysteries of childhood and the evils perpetrated by the monsters among us. That just sounds so cool. Like, the comparison to Frankenstein really intrigues me with this. And it looks like in this book we're doing the typical, you know, Jennifer McMahon kind of writing style where we have a point of view that's like in the past, and then we're also following one more in the present day. So the full premise says in 1978, at her renowned treatment center in picturesque Vermont, the brilliant psychiatrist Dr. Helen is acclaimed for her compassionate work with the mentally ill. But when she's home with her cherished grandchildren, V and Eric, she's just Gran, providing them with care and attention and love. Then one day, Gran brings home a child to stay with the family. Iris, silent, hollow-eyed, and feral, doesn't behave like a normal girl. Still, Violet is thrilled to have a new playmate. Before long, Iris begins to emerge from her shell. She and V and Eric do everything together, ride their bicycles, go to the drive-in, meet at their secret clubhouse to hunt monsters, and dream up ways to defeat them. Because as V explains, monsters are everywhere. In 2019, we're following Lizzie Shelley, the host of the popular podcast Monsters Among Us, is traveling to Vermont when a young girl has been abducted, and a monster sighting has the town in an uproar. She's determined to hunt it down because Lizzie knows better than anyone that monsters are real, and one of them is her very own sister. Like, dude, what? Okay, there's so much I love from that description alone because I love the idea of a podcast. Monsters Among Us sounds so fun, and also I love, you know, Jennifer McMahon is really known for having really good complicated sister relationships in her books, so I'm very excited that this one seems to be like it's gonna be right up my alley. I'm just hoping to love it so much. And if you're wondering who's my co-host for the month of June, it's going to be my friend Gavin over from How to Train Your Gavin, and I'm so freaking excited to have Gavin as a co-host for the BookTube because Gavin, I mean, if you're unfamiliar with Gavin, like, you need to watch his channel. Like, he is seriously such a bundle of joy, and I feel like he's got to be one of the most creative people on BookTube right now. Like, every video he puts out, I'm like, his ideas, like, he's just doing some like next level shit, you know? He doesn't just do a book haul, you know? Like, he has to make it so much fun, and I just genuinely love and adore Gavin so much, and we've been getting so close recently, so I'm so happy to have him on the BookTube and to read this book with him. Like, I really hope we both enjoy it. I really hope it's something we love. I love too that Gavin this year, he's starting to get on the like horror journey, you know, like he's just starting to get really into horror, and so I'm hoping this one is a winner for both of us. And then lastly, in the month of July, this is the one that I chose myself, you know, because usually with my Patreon I'll have them vote on like 2 months and then I'll pick the 3rd month. And so for the month of July, I'm sure this is no surprise, but we're gonna be reading The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager because this one comes out towards the end of June, and so it's gonna be our July pick. Like, I literally cannot freaking wait. I feel like at this point it's just kind of a tradition to have the new Riley Sager, you know, as a BookTube pick because Riley Sager is probably one of my top favorite thriller authors, and so it just feels right, you know, to like read this book all together. The House Across the Lake is one that I am very curious about when it comes to Riley Sager's books because it sounds pretty different from anything that he's done before. The general premise for this one just says, Casey Fletcher, a recently widowed actress trying to escape a streak of bad press, has retreated to the peace and quiet of her family's lake house in Vermont. Dude, how weird. We're gonna read 2 books back to back that take place in Vermont. Anyways, it says, armed with a pair of binoculars and several bottles of liquor, she passes the time watching Tom and Catherine Royce, the glamorous couple who live in the house across the lake. They make for good viewing. A tech innovator, Tom is rich, and a former model, Catherine is gorgeous. One day on the lake, Casey saves Catherine from drowning and the two strike up a budding friendship. But the more they get to know each other and the longer Casey watches, it becomes clear that Catherine and Tom's marriage is not as perfect as it appears. When Catherine suddenly vanishes, Casey becomes consumed with finding out what happened to her. In the process, she uncovers eerie, darker truths that turn a tale of voyeurism and suspicion into a story of guilt, obsession, and how looks can be deceiving. You see, I'm just so curious because I love the idea of this. I love in thrillers where we kind of have a character, like a protagonist who's kind of a stalker who just like watches another couple. Like, I just think that's the most entertaining shit. But also, I'm so curious because this premise does sound quite a bit like The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn, but that's a book that I really disliked, and so I'm hoping it's everything that I wanted The Woman in the Window to be, you know, like that's what I'm hoping with this one. So yeah, I'm very excited for The House Across the Lake. I'm just, every time Riley Sager has a new book coming out, I'm just so freaking hyped about it. And if you're wondering who my co-host is going to be for the month of July, I'm very excited that it's once again going to be my mom and my sister, because if you were around for the book troop last summer when Survive the Night came out, that was our book club pick for the month of July as well. And my mom and my sister both wanted to read the book too because they had both read some Riley Sager before. And so I asked them if they would want to co-host with me and do the live show all together, and they were like, hell yeah. And so I feel like at this point, I'm just gonna keep this as tradition, you know, like have my mom and my sister on for the Riley Sager book troop pick, just because I think it's so much fun to like read a book at the same time with my mom and my sister and to get our reactions in a live show together. And I'm just so excited to see what they're gonna think. And it is exciting too, you know, because my mom and my sister, you know, as I just said, they have read some Riley Sager before, so they're familiar with some of his past works as well. So yeah, I'm just so excited to have both my mom and my sister on my channel again to talk about this book, and I hope this one's a winner. I hope we enjoy this one more than Survive the Night, like fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm so freaking hyped. I'm so excited about these upcoming, you know, book club picks. I hope that you're excited to read along. You can let me know if you're planning on reading along for any of these months or which book you're most excited to read together. And if you do want a say in the August book club pick, now is the time to join my Patreon, because in the first couple of days of May, I'm going to be posting the poll to vote on the August Book Troop Book Club pick. So keep your eyes peeled if you're on my Patreon. That should be coming in the first couple of days of May. And if you haven't yet, you can join my Patreon down below. I'm so excited. Dude, all the books that I have picked for August for you to vote on, like, oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I think that is all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I am so excited to read these books with you over the next few months. And yeah, I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.